In any case, Mr. Immortal apparently though is such a good superhero that he is going to appear in a TV show being developed right now called New Warriors. Which is going to be...
If they develop him and make him less of a joke, it could turn out well. But if he's still the same old lazy, useless son of a bitch, then it's pointless.
Basically, the show New Warriors is going to be about him. It's going to be about Squirrel Girl.
Yes! Finally!
Finally, she gets some recognition.
Squirrel Girl!
Which you may know is famous for apparently...
defeating Thanos, but in a non-canon.
In a non-canon thing.
It's still fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Just imagine the canon version of Thanos meeting that version. How did you lose? Then just beat me, Hulk. Hold on, how about you? Squirrel Girl. What? Squirrel Girl beat me.
How did that happen? I don't know. It was just over from one panel.
Look, I didn't see it coming, okay? She just came out, fucking nowhere, man.
It's like in one panel I'm clearly overpowering. In the next, I'm on the floor. I don't know. In that show, there's also going to be Night Thrasher, which is a local celebrity with no superpowers who has his own YouTube channel, played by Logan Paul.
Seriously?
No.
But say,
it would be good.
Fucking no way.
It would be good if someone dies and then Logan Paul runs over and he goes like, "This is my moment."
Oh my god! I'm not sure if you've heard of the shitty news at the moment.
Well, he's back.
No, not even that. Is that so an English YouTuber, if you don't know, you probably will. You may not. KSI had a boxing charity fight with another YouTuber.
Oh right, and he called them out, didn't he?
And he called them out, and then the brothers were like, "Okay,
should fight
our dad." And even though the original was clearly explicitly not stating, like it didn't state specifically Jake Paul, but I'll fight any Paul, but it was like I'll fight Jake Paul, and then the Jake Pauls, say, "Oh, fight our dad," and of course all the Jake Paul fans think, "Oh, that's so savage," and it's like, well, no, he's just a coward then. Because he knows he won't win the fight, so he's trying to back out of it.
Okay, so I responded to it as well, and it was like, if you're not going to take this seriously, don't do anything at all.
Yeah, don't waste my time. Which I actually thought was a very good response.
No,
it's a good response.
That's the thing, it's like KSI is kind of like, especially like with all the YouTubers that are kind of opposing the Pauls nowadays, and the Rice comes in, I don't know what, he's one of the YouTubers that I started out watching because I thought they were enjoyable, then they got really successful, and they got like really braggy about their success, and really annoying, and I stopped watching them.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to start watching him again because he
seems
so...
Yeah, I think because the thing is he quit YouTube a few months ago to do his music career. It didn't take off brilliantly, now he's back.
Yeah.
So I think he's a bit more humbled about it, probably. Slightly more humbled.
Yeah, but it's also like, he clearly cares. He clearly cares what he's doing, and...
He's not doing it to be a cunt. He's doing it because
he's not doing it for the views. He's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for charity.
Yeah, and he's doing it because he likes his job as well. And that's the thing I think. The problem is now these days, not just that the polls can even exist, it's their fan bases. They're the main problem now these days.
Yeah.
The fact that these people are allowed to actually watch them and think that they're the right kind. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up, saying.
I will say the only thing that I thought was kind of enjoyable about Logan Paul was he made a video recently where he put on the disguise, and he went to the UCLA campus, and interviewed a bunch of people about what they think about Logan Paul and stuff like that, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know," and he was trying to get them to say that that they don't like him, essentially, trying to question.
So that way
if they did, But
reveal,
I liked the character that he was playing because it was very quite soft spoken, not jumpy and everything, and I was like, okay, so he can be something other than the dick that he's being usually.
Yeah.
He's just not doing it because he thinks he needs to be energetic and stuff like that. But I don't know. I find it hardly entertaining. And the funny thing is, when you look at YouTubers like PewDiePie, he's actually, if I'm wrong, you may as well tell me. But over the years, I feel like he's calmed down more because he's realized that shouting all the time isn't that funny, and being overly peppy and ADHD isn't that
Yeah.
fun to watch.
I think that's the thing. A lot of the YouTubers from before have really matured and come a long way.
Yeah.
And they look back at a lot of their older content. One of them being in particular, who iDubbbz, who I'm a big fan of, and you should subscribe to him. Really good YouTuber. Did a video called Content Cop, and basically what Content Cop is, he makes like a kind of like a review almost of YouTubers, and he did one for Rice Gum, and Rice Gum called him out saying, "Oh, you're deleting all your old videos? Are you ashamed of them?" It's like, it's not that he's ashamed of it. It's like that he just thinks that it's not the right content for his channel anymore, which is 100% fair enough because his content on his channel has really changed. Secondly, his content's come a long way, and that's the same thing. And the problem is when you look at things like people like the polls, the problem is with them is you look at them and think they will never change. Their content will never mature. No. They'll never mature.
But like the reason for that is because they see that it works.
Yeah.
And they'll just keep going with it.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's not gonna happen is because there's kids out there who keep like, first of all, they're subscribing to them now. By the time that they reach a certain age, they're probably gonna think, okay, well these guys are
what the fuck was I thinking?
You know, what I was thinking. By the time that happens, there's gonna be a new generation already lined up to watch these people.
Yeah. And
the worst thing is every new generation is bigger numbers. You know, there's more people 12 years old right now than when we were 12 years old.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is scary to think about.
Yeah, I think another problem is as well is you look at these guys developing this sort of content, and a big thing is I noticed with Jake Paul fans and Logan Paul's fan base is that a lot of them seem like younger teenage girls, sort of between the ages of say maybe 15 to 12 or even 10.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, to me, it was like, it's become clear that these guys are the new Justin Biebers. And while I don't I don't hate Justin Bieber's music. I think he's talented. I think he's actually also matured quite a bit, weirdly enough.
He's come a long way.
He's come a long way, yeah. Because the thing is, when he started out, he was just this weird little kid, and I felt kind of bad for him. Then towards the middle of his career, it was like, oh no, he's just a dickhead. And I was like, okay, he's kind of coming back around now.
I think
the thing is, all of his fans have seemed to move on to Jake Paul and Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And what bothers me is I want to say to all these girls going, do you think you'll ever get a boyfriend? Why would you ask me about that? Because you're never going to get a boyfriend because all boys hate these cunts. Well, not all, but most of them do. Yeah. And they all think they're trash. And they think you should be ashamed of them. And to be fair, they're right.
They're not wrong, no.
No, I think...
The point that I kind of feel with these teenage girls as well is like, I don't want to sound too generalizing, obviously.
Yeah, of course, not everyone. Yeah.
The ones that like these people usually just kind of go like, oh, you know, he's hot and he's got a voice or whatever.
He's savage.
Yeah.
Fucking.
And like he's a rebel. He does whatever he wants. But to me, I mean, I feel
that
like
means
that's kind of a phase.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like. While they're in that state, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's healthy. I'm not gonna say it's unhealthy because I'm not an expert on that sense. But like, you know, it's not permanent.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's not me saying don't watch these guys because it's not permanent that you're gonna like them. You know, if you like that content, by all means watch it. But like, the worst thing you can do is defend someone on something indefensible.
Yeah, the filming of the dead body thing. Yeah, the filming the dead body thing was completely.
Well, it's not just the dead body thing, because like for me, the dead body thing was like a cherry on top of a shit cake.
Yeah.
But the thing about like running around in Japan and being disrespecting, while previously saying that Japanese people are all about the respect, you know, and he's kind of apologized for it, but only kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he
apologized
for it in like an afterthought, and he didn't do it immediately. He did like a month later.
Yeah, I think my problem mainly for the moment is not even just the Jake Paul and Logan Paul. The problem is YouTube itself. And YouTube obviously doesn't take down their channels because they know for a fact that they're getting millions of views and therefore YouTube is sort of booming because of it. But in my opinion, YouTube has an obligation to do the right thing. Tell them, you fucked up for the last time, your channel's gone forever. If you come back, we will delete that next channel. We will not let you return. That's the thing, should have the people. YouTube needs to do it now.
Yeah, they need to have like a policy about like how many strikes someone should have for like.
And not like there's certain things where like if they do it, like YouTube should kind of say this is not even a question of how many strikes you have. The moment you do it, you're fucked. We're taking away your channel.
Yeah.
Like filming a dead body, in my opinion. If someone like Jake Paul, like thing is obviously Logan Paul did that, but like if you're filming a dead body, but it's for educational purposes, then obviously I think okay, fine, it's weird. But if you're doing it for sort of the benefit of medical students, I'd be alright, fine. But if you're doing it as a joke, then YouTube should come to you saying that's not okay.
Yeah.
You're gone. But I'm on my first strike. Doesn't matter. You're gone. That crosses a line that even we can't help you with.
Yeah.
Because like. I think that's the thing. What needs to happen now, I want someone out there, some billionaire of some sort, to create another website that's a cross between Vimeo and YouTube that allows you to create content, but with greater rules and restrictions of what you can and cannot do.
I mean,
along those lines, though, along the more lines like that. I mean, obviously, people should have allowed to create certain content, but
I mean,
the content that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't know. That doesn't really bother me though. The thing is. It's not so much that there are things that aren't allowed. It's because I don't think somewhere there should be explicitly like a mention of saying don't film people, who are dead without their consent. I mean,
it's fair, you can't really.
I mean, to be fair, to film someone without their consent is already kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Which is why on TV when you see blurred people, that's because they didn't really give their consent.
Yeah. And they weren't okay with it in the first. And that's a similar thing with whatchamacallit. It was something where I remember it was during the Content Cop sort of debate between Rice Gum and iDubbbz, and iDubbbz, put up the question of permission, and sort of someone coming up to you asking you for permission to film, and then you saying no, and they keep filming, and how that's wrong, and then obviously Rice Gum says that wrong. Yes, it is, but what he does, which is in my opinion worse, is denying people the right to that question altogether.
Yeah.
Because he filmed people and said he wasn't filming them. Basically, just flat out lying, and what he did was illegal. Just like the filming people, even though they say no. But that is just... Both sides are illegal, and what he did was fucking wrong. And he can't take a moral high ground because he has none to begin with.
By the way, in film or in TV as well, consent means legal consent, which means there are actually forms, they're signed,
they're documents,
black and white, and you can't go back on it. Which is apparently the same thing that feminists want to do for sex. So, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in film, you need to have that because...
Yeah.
If someone doesn't give consent to do something and they don't sign something, that means you cannot do something.
Yeah.
You just cannot. For no reason.
Another example is if you, for film at least...
I'll take one as well.
Go for it. That's why they're there. If you write out, not sponsored by the way, a document and saying, we want to film at your house but only in the kitchen. The person says, fine, that's okay, go film in the kitchen. He then finds you filming in the living room. If he tells you to get out, you say, but you signed a contract. He said, yes, only for the kitchen though. I didn't give you permission to film in my living room or in my bedroom. And that's sort of like, typically, by the way, FYI, if you sign a contract, it's typically for the whole house, but occasionally it is only for certain rooms.
You know what that's comparable to? I know my mind is running again. This is the kind of mind that I have, but it's the same as, you say to a girl, we're gonna have sex, the classic thing that you could expect. Are you okay with that? And she says yes. And at some point you put your dick in her ass and she goes, hang on, we didn't agree to this. And he's like, well, it's...
It comes with the territory, yeah.
That kind of thing. It's like, you can't just say we're going to use the kitchen and then assume that it's also okay to use the living room while you're at it.
Yeah.
That's basically like unannounced anal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should be an actual film term at this point.
Going to film in someone's kitchen, they're filming in the living room. Man, what's with all this unannounced anal?
There you go.
Oh, we've developed
new term in film.
New
unannounced anal. When you
sign
a contract of legal consent of permission to use something or someone, and then overstep that boundary.
It works.
There you go.
But yeah, it's I think we're in a world where there are the three things that plague the modern day world: hypocrisy, which is things like Star Wars fans saying, what is it? Oh, I want them to, I'm tired of them basically just doing what they've done before, like with Force Awakens being an Episode 4 remake, and then Last Jedi coming out and everyone hating it because it's not like Episode 5. That sort of thing. Secondly, extremist fan base of any kind.
Extremist anything.
Fan
base, ideology, anything like that.
And the thing is now, it used to be only ideology and religion, but now the problem is in the 21st century it has spread to everything.
Yeah, especially with entertainment being such a big part of our lives nowadays.
That's the thing, that fans, and as we've mentioned before, especially with the big four, big three actually, Star Wars, DC and Marvel, a lot of these fans have become fanatics, so they're no longer even fans, they're no longer even benefiting the franchise by being fans, they're harming it. They're what's killing it. Thirdly, the last thing that's affecting the world is people with a lack of common sense. And the people of Jake Paul and Logan Paul are two people who suffer from this the worst, and their fan base as a result as well. Yeah. If you find a dead body, common sense, do not film the fucking thing. Yeah. Don't.
The sick thing as well is the problem is they knew they would find a dead body because they actively went into that forest knowing that they would find it. Not just knowing it, making it their goal.
Yeah.
And the most disgusting thing he did after that is basically saying that it was probably a sign or something. You actively went to find that body, and what I want to add to as well, the lack of common sense. There's a fourth problem in the world, but it's not really a problem. It's like an amplifier, if you will, that goes with all three of these, which is the echo chambers. Constantly hearing back that your opinion is validated, and constantly hearing that whatever you're doing is correct. Like with Jake Paul and Logan Paul and their fans, basically their fans going oh, you're so funny, you're doing it all right.
Oh, it's just cool.
And then you just go yeah, see, there's nothing wrong with it. And then the large majority of the world going no, there is a problem with it. And they go yeah, but my fans are cool with it. So what really is the problem?
The problem is that you're teaching them that it's okay. And that's the fucking problem. It's not okay for them to think that's okay. Your fans should not think, oh, if I should go look for dead bodies. That...
No, exactly.
It's disrespectful and it's fucking insane.
Did you see the thing as well on the H3 podcast?
I think you told
where
me.
a fan calls in, and basically he goes I can't believe all the slander that you're committing on Logan Paul, and then Ethan basically says, you do realize that he showed a dead body, and the fan goes, well, so what? And he goes you do realize that's a problem, right? And he goes well, I don't know how many people die in California on a daily basis, but here in Ohio people die every day, so what's a big fuss? And it's how can you
How many
think
dead
that?
bodies have you seen though?
How many dead bodies have you physically seen in front of you?
Are you thinking of just Hollywood LA and fucking San Francisco? Not even downtown LA, the shady parts of LA that are places you do not want to go to.
Long Beach, Watts, those kind of areas.
I mean, the thing is, it's kind of and the thing is, it's clear that person's in need. I don't know if people die in LA or whatever.
He's a kid. He's 12 years old.
People die in Ohio all the time. It's yeah, but dude.
People die in the world all day long.
If you're going to use that logic, it's what you think? What, people don't die in the States? People fucking die in the Middle East all the fucking time. It's not. Yeah. Your argument's retarded because you're using an example of a country that really doesn't have it as bad as many others.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I will go far with this statement, but if you think that the dead body is not a big deal, literally, whoever says that, give them a gun, give them a person to kill, and have them shoot the person, kill that person, and see how your body reacts.
Yeah.
See how your body reacts and see how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you will vomit and you will think it's probably the most horrendous thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's everything that these fan bases think. And the problem is obviously the one positive side I can somewhat take from this is that their fan bases are very young. So they're going to grow up and they're going to mature, hopefully, and realize that they made a mistake. that is the only thing that we have hope in, that they're going to realize that they have made the wrong choice in who they support. And it is one of those things where wisdom comes with age, and apparently so does common sense, which it kind of does and doesn't make sense. It kind of
doesn't. It depends. It really depends.
Yeah, it really depends on certain things. I think in terms of common sense of who you should follow, that comes with age.
Like I said, echo chambers, right?
Yeah.
If you think that showing a dead body is okay, and you grow up among people your entire life,
yeah, that's true.
For at least until well into your deep 20s, that showing a dead body on camera is okay for the rest of your life, you will believe that.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that.
Actually, yeah, absolutely. I think we live in I think a fifth and final problem.
These pills are too fucking strong. I'm just getting angry now.
The anger pills.
That was not a side
That's
effect.
why they're in green. But anyway, the fifth and final thing that's a problem. We live in a very progressive world. And that's a good
Progressive is a very relative term.
Yeah, that's the thing. I say we live in a progressive world in the sense that women are getting more equal rights, black people are being less... I mean, obviously they still are, but it's becoming less and less of a problem. They're no longer slaves. Women are no longer...
They've not been slaves for over 200 years.
For a long time. They've gotten the vote in a lot of countries. The problem is a lot of places have become overly progressive, and the problem is they don't know where to be progressive and where not to be progressive.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem. For example... white Nazi-like extremists, they're becoming very progressive of how they act, because they live in a society and world where they have access to the internet and they see everyone else giving their opinions, and therefore they think they have the right to do the same. And the problem is not even just the progressiveness nature now; it's the aggressive nature that comes with it. Feminists, I'm beginning to support less and less, mainly because a lot of feminists, not all, but a lot, are becoming overly aggressive.
I have to disclose, by the way, third wave. We support the second wave, but we also feel like their job is done. Third wave feminism is the problem that we're talking about.
So basically what I'm trying to...
not all feminists.
Yeah. The thing is that everything that's happened in Hollywood, with the sexual abuse and everything, obviously, fuck that. That's not a good thing, needs to go. Yes, women need to have more equal rights. A few things is, first off, a lot of them are very aggressive. So it doesn't feel like you're actually giving a good thing.
There's no point coming
You're basically almost proving to the people who are saying they don't deserve an opinion, going, oh, look how aggressive they are. Imagine if they're in charge, they'll lock us up in gas chambers. You obviously won't. But that's the argument the people who don't like you will use.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to remember that the people who don't like you aren't going to let you get away with this. They're going to try and find ways to hinder your argument. And that's one of the ways they'll do it. Secondly, this is the one where you hurt yourself the most. Yes, the inequality of people in the Middle East in terms of the genders are horrendous. Women, it's bad. But at the same time, when you say, oh, they should just abolish, the religions that they follow that allow it, they can't. You can't tell people who have believed in something for thousands of years to stop believing in it, and all of a sudden. They have tried it, people have tried it, it has never worked.
If anything, it's gotten worse.
It's become worse, they've become more extreme, they've become more aggressive. Not even just that, they've become violent. And that's the problem that follows with all of this. You cannot tell people that have believed in something for thousands of years to stop believing in it all of a sudden.
Not just that, by the way, not just violent and that, regressive.
Yeah, regressive,
right? If you look at pictures of all kinds of countries in the middle, obviously ignoring Israel because that's probably the most liberal country there.
Yeah.
Second place, I think Lebanon. If you look at pictures of all those countries,
oddly enough, Iran's
32,
up there as well.
Yeah, if you look at those pictures of those places 30, 40 years ago, they all wear whatever the hell they want. They do whatever they want. Women are, you can see their faces and hair and everything.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's all covered up. Why is that? Because people try to change everything all of the sudden.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. Change, that's the thing as well that also gives me a real headache, is whenever, once again, a lot of being equal rights activists and feminists want change here and now. Yes, there needs to be change, but forcing it is just going to create conflict.
True.
But if you let change happen naturally over the course of years, which is not, it's a painfully slow process, and sometimes it feels like, sometimes speeding it up slightly helps a lot, but forcing it is where you end up coming up with a lot of the problems. But if you let change happen naturally, and if you occasionally give it a push, but not a shove, that's how change happens.
Also, I don't know if you've seen the Channel 4 interview recently with Jordan Peterson?
No.
Okay. Do you know who he is?
No.
Basically, he's this Canadian professor of, I think, history and psychology.
Yeah.
And basically, he's famous for being an alleged transphobe.
Okay.
When really the reason why people say that is because he refuses to use the gendered pronouns of genders that essentially don't exist. So, and basically, like, he's against it because he feels like freedom of speech goes together with freedom of thought. If you're allowed to think, well, that clearly is a woman because I can see she's a woman, you should be allowed to express that you are a woman. Otherwise, you have to believe everything that they tell you, essentially. So he did this interview recently on Channel 4, and basically there was this whole discussion. First of all, it was awful because the woman interviewing him were basically constantly like, essentially putting words in his mouth and basically going like, oh, so you're saying that you think women shouldn't have equal rights? And every time he would be like, no, that's not what I said at all.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But it's essentially at some point it became a discussion on equal rights, right, and equality, and the main debate was equality in opportunities or equality in results, right? So the idea was, is it right that there's only that of the top 100 CEOs in the UK, only 5 of them are women, if that is a problem? And he said, well, the thing is, it shouldn't be that at least 50 of them have to be women. Because at that point, we're trying to fill a quota rather than actually finding people who are genuinely good for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
What
absolutely.
we do need to do is offer equal opportunities for women.
Yes,
and equal opportunities that they have the same chance to get a job if they're equally qualified for it.
Yeah.
If the woman is qualified for the job more than the man is, obviously the woman would need to get the job because that's only fair. But she shouldn't get the job because she's a woman, as in like affirmative action type thing.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing that we're basically after as well. We don't consider ourselves feminists. I think it's fairly clear at this point.
Yeah. Support female rights and everything, but
equal rights, I'd say.
We support equal rights in general. We do not support a lot of the sort of, I guess, factions we can call it behind them. That's the thing. We no longer support a lot of them because they've become so extreme. That's the thing. If you're a feminist watching this, you're thinking we're not like that. Yes, you may not be like that, but the problem is the people who are hindering what you stand for because they're taking it to an extreme that we can no longer support.
Yeah.
Because also another problem is we try not to generalize. That's the thing. A lot of feminists are the problem. Not
and
all.
We're failing at it spectacularly.
But at least we're trying to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
One thing that bothers me, and I don't know whether or not they'll ever watch this podcast, it might enlighten a lot of them.
Not at this point,
But no, people I know in my course, is a lot of them, 2 of them in particular are feminists, and whenever they talk about how horrible men are, they generalize all men. All white men are bad.
They're actually they're actually those kind of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the problem is, I'm obviously not like that, and they know that I'm not like that, and they probably know that they don't mean me. They probably know for a fact that I know that they don't mean me. But the problem is, when you keep doing it after a certain point, I feel attacked, even though you're not, and you're
exactly.
not. But it's after a while, it's kind of like, guys, you have to, and the thing is, they feel like they don't have to specify because I know. No, you still have to specify because someone else may not know. And that person, if they walk by, they'll look at me and go, oh, they must be talking about him. And that's the problem that we've encountered a lot as well, that we live in we live in a society where people no longer generalize. I mean, people only generalize. And that's another problem as well, another heavy problem. Generalization. Not everyone is like this.
No.
Everyone is individual. I support equal rights. I support equality. I do no longer support most of the factions behind them because they are extreme. Or worst thing is, you allow these extremists in.
Yeah.
You allow them in. And the problem is you think, oh, well, they get us results. Right, well, Germany had the exact same thought with Hitler. They allowed him in because he could get results. He was the wrong choice in the end.
We're not saying that feminists are Nazis or Hitler or anything.
Yeah, of course not.
We have to disclose... And by the way, I'm doing this because we have to disclose this because you cannot believe the amount of times where I said something that's just like plain factual. And I'm... Personally, like, when we think about, like, left, right, progressive, conservative, whatever, I like to think of myself as kind of like gray area. I think you as well.
Yeah, we're centralists.
Kind of, yeah. Obviously, I'm kind of centrist in the sense of like I go extreme, but both ways. So I have my opinion on both things.
And I'm centrist in the fact that I don't go extreme in either way, but I remain in the center as well.
Yeah.
But like
the thing is, once you say something that sounds slightly one way, people already put you in boxes. So, and if you say something that sounds slightly kind of like something, people already assume that that is your full opinion in a generalized sense because that's what their generalizing mind is doing. So when we say the problem that feminists do with these radical feminists is basically the same as the Nazis did with Hitler. We're just saying something that's like a factual analogy. We don't actually say that feminists actually are Nazis.
No. It's just using an example of like how it can go wrong. For example, it's just like appeasement.
Yes.
Throughout World War One, or just before World War One, Britain appeased Germany, France appeased Germany. They all appeased each other, so war wouldn't break out. When finally something snapped, all war broke out. They then appeased Hitler and Nazi Germany, again appeasing them, allowing the Germans to rise up through the power, allowing Hitler to build a huge army, conquer all of Europe within a year. Appeasing doesn't work, and allowing extremist people into your factions because they can get results doesn't work. What it does, it ends up biting you in the ass, and it allows the other guys that you don't want to win.
Yeah.
That's just it in the end.
And also, if I may add as well, if you're one of the feminists that says that feminism just means equal rights, and you say that feminism doesn't equal man-hating, we appreciate the gesture, but this is not the general experience that we're getting from this.
This is not what we've experienced. And that's the thing. If you're one of those people saying that, we're happy. We know you're probably, at least, you're not against us and you're not on our side. But you need to understand there are people on your side who are like this.
Yeah.
And listen, they're allowed to have their opinions and everything, but you have an obligation being in their side to tell them that they are not only wrong, that they are being ruthless to a point it's becoming harming to what you're standing for and to what other people like us may end up, because I originally was a feminist. I did stand up for feminism. Problem is now I would say, fuck it, I can't stand you people anymore. I'm sick of it. It's gotten too bad now to just get behind. Yeah. You need to kick these people out because they're hindering the support of other people you can get. And the thing is as well, feminism, if it's about equality, by pushing out men or white men, or not pushing them out, but allowing these people to push them out, then it's not equality because I'm not part of it.
No, exactly.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, we should be allowed to everything you are, that you're in, but you can't be allowed to everything we're in. It doesn't...
No, that's like the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, what you end up doing is becoming exactly what you hate. You're becoming the villain.
And I have one last thought about it as well. Basically, I once tried to reason with feminists, which... Yeah, you're laughing already. So
it doesn't
basically
work.
the thing I said was, you're obviously not like that. You're not the man-hating type or whatever. But you clearly condemn it. But you're also saying that they're essentially, you can't really say anything. Why isn't it possible to just start a new movement that's basically feminism like reborn, where you say, I believe in equal rights. I'm willing to fight for them, but it is equal rights and not like. Going overboard, and go like, no, because we can't let them take over their term. Now here's a quick history lesson. I hope I said correctly. Basically, there once was this country called China, which I think at the beginning of last century had a whole discussion about how the country should be run.
Yeah.
The way it was run before, a lot of people said it was fine, but the majority was against it. So the people. Who thought the original way was fine, took their shit, went out of China, went to another island, and started a new country with those ideals. That country is now called Taiwan, also known for a lot of people as the real China. So, for the feminists out there who think that the feminist movement cannot be taken away by these radical feminists, be Taiwan.
Yeah.
Just keep your ideals, take everything but you stand for, and fight.
Move somewhere else where you cannot be related to those people, and you are the real version of it. And quickly, first off, we're not trying to say whether Taiwan is the real China or not. We're just saying.
Oh no,
that's an
example.
I'm just an example. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that I think it's true is completely beyond point.
Yeah. I think it is one of those... It's reaching a boiling point now where I think, at this point, I'm just going to say this. Every side is wrong at this point. I can't think of a single faction that is right anymore. And I want to fucking move to Mars because I'm sick and tired of it. Fuck my filmmaking
Same career. Elon Musk, get on it.
Yeah. Elon. We got two very intelligent people here who'd love to join the Mars program.
Relatively intelligent. But we also want to fly space cars.
Yeah.
So, I think we've got that in common. Also, we approve of flamethrowers.
Yeah.
So... but yeah, like Taiwan starting their own countries with their beliefs, or like Captain America putting down his shield at the end of Civil War to fight for the ideals that he strives for without having to feel like he's holding a part of something that he doesn't believe in anymore.
Yeah.
You can start your own. There's no shame in starting your own new movement and fighting the good fight from there.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, to anyone who is going to be brave enough to do that, the first few actions you're going to have to take is, first off, you have to condemn the people you once fought alongside with.
Yeah.
You have to condemn the extremist feminists, the feminists that harmed what you stood for. You then have to start looking to other groups of people, black men, white men, men of all kinds, and other all kinds of women, and say, listen, we want all equality for everyone. Yeah. And what this means is there may be more women who, because in the end, it could end up being in the Fortune 500 or whatever, that maybe 275 of them are women. And that's not because it's filling a quota. It's because they've done better.
They're actually talented. Because
they're talented. They're smart. They're very good business people.
Yeah. And that's what we're hoping. That's what we want to see. Like the thing is, like, the whole thing about
quickly, just one thing. I don't want female directors. I don't want female cinematographers. I don't want male directors. I don't want male cinematographers. I want talented directors.
Yes.
And talented cinematographers. I want people who are good at the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Who can do it right. That is all. And
you see that it's possible. I mean, the awards, which we'll talk about shortly, they're doing pretty well. There's the first ever female cinematographer is nominated this year. There's a female director nominated, which is the 5th ever. I mean, yes, it's slow progress, and yes, it's bizarre that
it's taken this long.
80 years that these awards exist, it's taken this long for it to happen. But change is happening, and the truth is, the more women get out there and get their hands dirty on the work, the more they have an opportunity to go for it.
Yeah, I think for me, and possibly for you as well, and for Mikey, who is unfortunately also not here with us, one of the people we support most, who is supporting of these ideals, is Amy Poehler. Yes. She is the perfect example of it done right.
Especially our producer Mark is a huge fan of hers as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they love her to bits, and we love her to bits because we think the way she is going about it is completely 100% correct. She is not demanding change. She's asking for the right for change to happen and for the chances of equality. And that's the thing, that if you demand, you will not get. But if you take action and prove that you deserve the opportunity, and I'm not saying, it should be given to you obviously automatically, but the problem is it's built up to a point where that can't be the case because men have dominated the world for so long, unfortunately. But the point is, demanding it, and aggressively so, is not going to produce the results you want. And that's the thing. Do you want, and I've made this point to some people, if, let's say, a female director won an Academy Award for Best Director, and she did it because all the women kicked up a fuss and demanded it, would you really feel like you've earned it because the men thought, we'll give it to them. We'll give them this one win. Because that's what will happen. It's like, they're all complaining about, let's just give it to them. You wouldn't have earned it. It would have just been given to you because you demanded it.
That's not right.
And it's not right.
That's basically like
it's me demanding the World Cup trophy to be stored in my house because I'm English and my country founded the sport.
It's like Jenna Marbles, if that ever happens, getting a Ruby play button, not because she actually reached the 50 million subscribers, but because she feels like she has the right to it because PewDiePie got one. That kind of thing. It's like, I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, and I don't believe that she believes that how it is to work. But
it's just the example we're using.
But it would be equally ridiculous because these things are based on achievement, not on entitlement. None of these things are based on entitlement. Entitlement is a horrible word in itself because you're not entitled to anything. You need to work hard.
You are entitled to nothing.
Also,
but the chance to earn it.
Also, speaking of and as a nice segue to our next subject, awards are bullshit. I hope that people understand this because they don't actually say anything about how hard you work for it. The only thing that they do is they make particular people feel slightly more special because they feel like they've achieved something. But even the people who've earned these awards, they've worked hard for it, each and every one of them, even if they didn't really deserve it over someone else.
For example, when Leonardo DiCaprio won the Oscar for The Revenant, probably that year he was the one who didn't I'm not saying he didn't deserve it at all. I'm saying compared to others he probably may not have deserved it more, but because of his hard work and the fact that he had never gotten one, he kind of had it coming after a while.
Yeah.
There should have been a lifetime achievement award Oscar that probably should have gone to him instead, because he has worked so hard and been in so many great movies. It was about time that he got one. But it felt... Anyway. Yeah, let's get into it.
Right.